Paddle shifters, an incredible piece of in-car technology to help you smash through the gears of your race car without having to reach for that pesky gear stick. Once exclusive to the creations of European supercar manufacturers, the paddle shifter has been slowly finding its way into the common man's car in recent years. I remember being a bright-eyed lad over a decade ago when I first got my Falcon and wondered how hard could it be to put a paddle shifter kit inside of it. Turns out it's pretty darn hard. Although many tried over the years, nobody could quite get the paddle shifter in the Falcon right. That is, until now. This is the PVS Automotive paddle shifter kit. It's based on a design they've already been using for years in Land Cruisers, and it's easily the best paddle shifter kit that I have ever seen for the Ford Falcon. But I'm sure you're wondering, what exactly is it, and how does it actually work? To use the paddles, it's the same process as when you want to use the gear stick to change up and down. You switch across into manual mode and now you can use the paddles or the gear stick or a combination of both. It sounds like a bit of a no-brainer to say this, but actually in other people's attempts at doing paddle shifters, it's been quite common that they've only been able to get one or the other working, or even having isolator switches where you've got no choice but to use the paddles to change. The car isn't automatic anymore. This is a bit of a problem for a lazy driver like me because I actually prefer to just leave the car in automatic and let it do the work most of the time. This is my daily after all. But when you get into some spirited driving, that's when these things really shine. The paddles are in the perfect position that when you're properly keeping the steering wheel under control, your fingers just rest naturally on them. And there's also plenty of space that as you're turning the steering wheel, you don't accidentally bump the stalks and activate your indicator or your windscreen wipers or something like that. This does get us to the first small complaint that I have about this kit though. Like I said, I'm a bit of a lazy driver. I tend to keep my hands a bit too low or too high while driving, and this can actually mean that when I'm driving, I tend to pull on the bottom or the top of the paddle rather than the middle, and once in a while that can actually mean that I can really hear and feel that click, but it doesn't actually activate, and as a result, I'm suddenly redlining, or I'm trying to slow down, but there's no compression braking because I haven't shifted down. Minor user errors aside, I am loving how the paddles look and feel. Although they're injection molded plastic, they have a nice strong feel to them. I don't ever feel like I'm gonna accidentally break the paddles while just using them normally. They also look really good, like they could have come with the car from factory. I've had a number of people not notice them at first, and then after I actually start using them while driving, they go, "Hey, whoa, you've got paddle shifters in this car." Yeah, I do. They're just blending in that seamlessly. But how do the paddles tell the gearbox to shift up or down?
In the steering wheel is a wireless sender, and then down in the passenger footwell is a wireless receiver. When you pull on one of these paddles, a high-speed wireless signal is sent from this down into the receiver, and that receiver is connected to the wiring that's used for actually sending the signals to the gearbox from the standard shifter to shift up and down. Essentially, all this is doing is piggybacking off of the standard system. It's just giving you an extra way of changing the gears using all the factory setup. It's kind of ingenious. But this brings me to issue number 2 that I have with this kit.
The wiring setup for this kit isn't exactly hard. You can just cut wires and crimp them like I have here to get the receiver in, but that involves cutting wires that are part of the body harness, and that can be stressful to say the least. I've been pulling apart and putting this car back together again for over 10 years now. This harness I literally replaced when I converted the car from 5-speed to 6-speed, but even I was pretty stressed doing this job because this is how everything communicates with the PCM. If you wreck something like this, it's a big deal. If it were just some interior lights, I wouldn't be that concerned about it. You can always fix that sort of thing pretty easily later, and not having an interior light working doesn't stop the rest of the car working. If I accidentally messed something up here, that could potentially stop me using important functions of the car. Needless to say, this is the kind of thing that if you aren't 100% confident in, you should definitely get a professional to do it for you. The signal between the paddles and the receiver being wireless has some people questioning whether the paddles are actually causing a delay when you try and change gears. And to be honest with you, no, that's not how wireless signals work. This kit uses a 2.4G signal. You can think of it as being similar to the Wi-Fi you're using to watch this video right now. It's definitely not too slow for changing some gears. And if you're still skeptical, here's some video for you. Overall, I really have been enjoying the PVS paddle shifter. The quality is great, it functions perfectly, and it looks like it belongs in the car from factory. Overall, I'd rate it a must buy. But what do you guys think? Are you going to get one yourself? Have you already been looking at them? Or is the world of paddle shifters a bit of a miss for you? And don't forget to subscribe and like and whatever, all that stuff. All right, bye-bye.